Hi everyone, Donna Kay here, board certified health and nutrition practitioner and a mum to a now thriving ADHD teen. He is 15, he's in grade 10 and he is doing amazing. And I'm so glad you are joining me today because we're going to talk about something that I hear all the time from parents. Just one cookie can't hurt, right? But here's the thing. For a child with ADHD, that one cookie might be exactly what's derailing their day because sugar doesn't just spike energy. It can actually mimic ADHD symptoms in kids who don't have ADHD. And it can make symptoms worse in kids who do have ADHD. And I think that's a big deal. So maybe the better question isn't what's the big deal, but instead, is it ADHD or is it sugar? And that's exactly what we're going to be diving in today. The link between sugar and ADHD symptoms and what you can actually do about it. So let me know in the comments, guys, if you're watching the live or even on the replay, just say sugar. Okay, SUGAR, if this topic resonates already. And I'm coming through, okay, because it's very hard to know whether or not my audio is coming through. Okay, so let me know. Okay, guys, ready to dive in. When most people hear blood sugar, okay, they immediately think diabetes, right? But here's what a lot of parents don't realize. Blood sugar matters. Thanks, Kendra, for tuning in. Blood sugar matters for all kids, especially those with ADHD. Blood sugar crashes don't just resemble ADHD symptoms. Thank you, Krish, for tuning in as well. They actually amplify them. We're talking focus issues, meltdowns, mood swings, all the stuff that can make daily life feel like a roller coaster. And so here's what happens, okay? Your child eats something high in sugar. Maybe it's like a granola bar or a juice box or even healthy yogurt. Their blood sugar spikes and then they get hyper, they get anxious, and sometimes they get wild. Then that sugar crashes and suddenly they're cranky, they're completely dysregulated, they shut down. Does this sound familiar? If you've seen this in your own child, just pop a yes in the chat. And what's tricky is that it's not just soda and candy. Those, they're obvious. They're obviously sugar-filled treats, but it's also foods that we think are healthy. So fruit juices, granola bars, even ketchup, or in Australia, tomato sauce. I'm in America, and so I've gotten used to saying ketchup now. But for those tuning in around the world that don't say ketchup, tomato sauce. Now, let me share what the research says because I love the research. One study found that the more sugar hyperactive children consumed, the more restless and destructive they became. Another study showed a clear link between ADHD behaviors and kids who drank sugar sweetened beverages. Thanks for letting me know. It's so hard to know everyone's names because the Instagram handles come up and it's so hard to know. So apologies if I don't say your name correctly. But you know what the real eye opener is? What sugar actually does to the brain, especially an ADHD brain. So sugar triggers a huge dopamine release, and that feel-good neurotransmitter that's tied with motivation and reward. And so the more sugar your child consumes, the fewer dopamine receptors their brain keeps. So they down-regulate the dopamine receptors. So now it takes even more sugar to feel normal. So cravings go up, dopamine crashes, and your child may feel even more out of control. And this is the dopamine loop. And it's part of why sugar can feel so addictive for kids with ADHD. And just let me know in the comments if this is clicking. If you've got any questions so far, or if anything's unclear, just let me know. I can tell you that when my son was really, really struggling with his ADHD symptoms, he was like a sugar fiend. He would hoard that sugar. But that's exactly what that dopamine loop loop is doing. Now let's break this down practically. Sugar itself isn't the only issue. It's also the type of carbohydrate. So you've got two main types. First of all, you've got simple carbs. So you've got things like candy, white bread, sugary cereals, soda, and juice. All the processed snack foods, candy, white bread, like all of those things. They digest really fast. They spike blood sugar fast, and they crash just as fast. They crash just as hard. The second type is complex carbs. These are foods like veggies, beans, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. These break down slower and give a steady energy flow, which is so important for our kids with ADHD. But our goal isn't to go carb free. I can see that someone in the comments is saying, yes, but I have a super picky eater. I totally, totally understand. My son used to be super, super picky. I want to say that about 70% of the families that we work with have a picky eater. And when we can start reducing inflammation in the body and the brain, the palate starts opening up as well. Another thing you want to check is, do they have a zinc deficiency? Zinc deficiency actually changes the way that taste buds taste food. So it can actually start from a zinc deficiency, and then it can become this vicious cycle. But we don't want to change everything overnight. We just start with one swap at a time. So we want to swap simple carbs for complex carbs where possible. Now, I know you're probably thinking, how much sugar is too much sugar? I want to play a guessing game. Guys, can you tell me in the comments how many grams of sugar per day you think kids should have? So I'll give you a couple of seconds. And I think sometimes these videos take a while to catch up. But so if it doesn't come through in a couple of seconds, I will give you the answer. Okay, it's a bit slow. So I'm going to give you the answer. Now, according to the American Heart Association, the upper limit is 25 grams, which is 6 teaspoons of added sugar per day for kids. But in my business, very good. Okay, so someone said 15. You guys have done great guesses. Very close. But in my business, we sort of say that no more than 12 grams, which is just 3 teaspoons for ADHD kids. Their brains are more sensitive. So think about it. One juice box or granola bar can blow that right out of the water. Even yogurt, even the healthier ones, can have 13 grams of added sugar in a tiny little container. Barbecue sauce, 2 tablespoons of it, 16 grams of added sugar. Juice, even 100% fruit juice, can have over 26 grams of sugar in one glass. And soda, 1 can have 61 grams of added sugar. That's 5 times what an ADHD kid can handle in a day. Just let that sink in. And just when you thought you were getting the hang of it, sugar gets so sneaky. It doesn't always show up as sugar on the label. So you want to watch out for names like maltodextrin, corn syrup, glucose, dextrose, rice syrup, fructose, sucrose, molasses, and the list goes on. The higher these appear on the ingredient list, the more sugar the product contains. Now, okay, so now you know what to look out for. Let's talk about what we can do about it. And I've got a 6-step plan that I'm going to share with you today that you can start using today to just slowly try to cut back sugar. We're not going to go cold turkey. That's never what I want. We don't want to throw away foods. The first step is just to reduce added sugar gradually. You want to start small. Maybe swap juice for sparkling water with berries, or sparkling water with strawberries or watermelon. You can choose unsweetened yogurt, and you can sweeten it with real fruit puree. These tiny changes just add up so much. Now, step 2 is to build breakfast around protein and fats. You can skip the sugary cereals. You can try eggs, bacon, avocado, smoothies with nut butter and protein powder. Okay, so swapping out the breakfast. And if you don't want to do it every single day of the week, just start with 1 day a week. That's all it takes. And just doing it slowly and gradually makes it easier, makes it your new normal, and also takes our children along on the journey as well. We want to prioritize complex carbs over those simple carbs. So think like brown rice, lentils, veggies instead of white bread and pasta. Now, step number 4 is to keep snacks consistent. So you want to use snacks to actually stabilize blood sugar, okay, throughout the day, because we don't want those crashes. We don't want those peaks and crashes. So something like apple and almond butter, hummus and carrots. You can get turkey and you can roll them up and give grapes. Now, these are some good options. The key is that you want to provide those good snacks that keep the body fuller longer and give it what it actually needs. Now, step number 5. Make smart swaps for school lunches. So skip the granola bars or juice boxes. You can go for water, nuts, real fruit. And when I say added sugar, I don't mean fruit. Okay. You want to have 2 to 3 servings of fruit a day. You don't want to be having 10 servings of fruit a day, but 2 to 3 servings of fruit is fine. And that doesn't get added to the sugar total. Now, so go for water, nuts, real fruit, lean protein. And finally, step number 6 is advocate for sugar-free rewards at school. This is a big one. And don't get me started on school and the treats and the school lunches. One mum told me her son's teacher asked her to send in 4 bags of candy in 1 month. Yes, it was for behavior rewards. But if sugar worsens behavior, why are we using it to reward behavior? It seems counterintuitive in my mind. Now, this isn't about blaming anyone or blaming teachers. Most teachers care so deeply about our children, but many just haven't been told how sugar impacts the ADHD brain. So we can speak up. Share what you're learning. Suggest stickers, praise, extra recess instead, because here's the bottom line. If you've ever wondered if sugar is making your child's ADHD symptoms worse, you're absolutely 100% right. But the good news is that you don't have to go sugar-free. You don't have to become that parent who bans every treat. You just need a plan. You just need awareness. You just need education, because the awareness comes with smarter choices and small, slow adjustments that can help the whole family, including ourselves, thrive. So that's it for today. If this live helped you connect the dots between sugar and your child's ADHD symptoms, let me know in the comments. Drop your biggest takeaway. And if you know a parent who needs this message, please share the replay of this live training. I'm going to post it to my feed after I close out. So just make sure and check back there in a little bit, and make sure you come back next week, because I go live every single week at this time, and I'll be here with another quick training on all things ADHD. And I've got someone saying, crazy how in my adulthood sugar is a dopamine hit. Yes, 1000%. And so when we have that awareness, we can make these slow adjustments and help not only ourselves, but our children and our families thrive. That's it for today, guys. Hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I will talk with you all soon. Bye for now.